in today's video just how crazy the Toronto real estate market was in 2022. We're going to cover that, where nearly half the sales occurred in the first 4 months of 2022, and what is lying ahead in 2023. What can we expect? What is going to happen? That and much more in today's video, so let's get to it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtor Realty Inc. As always, back with another video for you guys here today. It's going to be the last of 2022, so before we get into the topics of today's video, I want to take a very quick moment to thank all of you for supporting this channel, your viewership, your support, your lovely comments, and those who have reached out to me via my contact information on YouTube, who have purchased real estate with me, sold real estate with me, rented real estate with me in 2022, really push me to perform better as a content creator, to make more informative videos, more entertaining videos, to do my best to get the market facts, trends, building reviews, tenancy laws, and convey them to the general public in the most detailed fashion possible. So I want to thank all of you for supporting this channel and really inviting me to your rooms, whether you're watching it on a laptop, on an iPhone, or on the TV. But anyways, enough of that. You know the usual speech. Subscribe, comment, rate, and review. My contact information in the description box, on the screen. I post content on TikTok, Instagram, all that. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of today's video, which is really how crazy, in retrospect, the 2022 real estate market was within the GTA and Toronto real estate market. And this is a number I actually went through when I was breaking down the data. 46% of all sales within the duration of 2022, this is obviously excluding sales that have occurred in the last 2 weeks, so this is as of December 20th, 46% of all total residential real estate transactions occurred in the first 4 months of 2022. To put it into perspective, 72,000 sales overall have occurred in the Toronto real estate and GTA real estate market. Of those 72,000 sales, to be more specific, 72,535 sales, 33,000 sales. So once again, to be more specific, 33,696 of those 72,000 sales occurred in the first 4 months, January, February, March, and April. Once again, in percentage point, this 36,000 sales of the overall 72,000 sales that have occurred account for 46%. That's nearly half of all total Toronto and GTA residential transactions occurring in the first 4 months. And there is an extent to which this is seasonal. The spring market is normally the hottest and most vibrant market within the Toronto real estate market and the GTA real estate market. But although the trend is seasonal, the extent is not. What do I mean by that? All we have to do to see how typical or atypical this is contrast it with the preceding years. In other words put, taking a look at the first 4 months of 2021, 2020, 2019, and seeing how much of the total overall share in terms of percentage those first 4 months of the preceding years made up of the total sales. And when we do this, we actually see that yes, it is somewhat seasonal. Majority of the sales do occur in spring market, but not to this enormous extent, because in 2021 the first 4 months made up 38% of the total sales that occurred in the entire year. Once again, here in 2022 we're looking at 46, nearly half. In 2020, the first 4 months only made up 23% of total sales that occurred. Now that was somewhat of an outlier year, right? 2020, right? The first 4 months of 2020, I think we all know what we were dealing with, something that was very new, a worldwide event that had not occurred for a long period in our history. So those numbers are a little underinflated, right? That is an outlier year. Usually the first 4 months won't be so low as to be in the 20% range. So just a little bit more context to add for 2020, the first 4 months of 2020. Nonetheless though, I am quite confident that if we were not dealing with the worldwide event that we were dealing with in the first 4 months of 2022, sure, the total share of sales sales wouldn't be as low as it is in the case of 23%, but it still wouldn't be above 30 or 35%. And most definitely not to the tune of 46%. What about 2019? 2019, the first 4 months only made up, once again, a total share of 28% of the sales. And we can keep going further and further back. There is no year you're gonna find where the first 4 months make up nearly half of all real estate sales that occurred. Now let's break down these first 4 months a little bit more in depth, because most of the sales that occurred in these first 4 months really actually occurred in January and February. March obviously had its fair share of sales as well, so did April, but sales in March and April were down from February and January. And we all know why it was such a crazy time in the market, right? I've talked about it on this channel ad nauseum. I've talked about it across all my social media platforms several times. For those who have met with me in person, who've asked me questions about the market and why certain things happened the way they did in 2022. I've broken this down a million times, but just to be clear here again, we were dealing with historically low interest rates, a starving buyer base for housing, and really inflation across all asset classes due to these low interest rates and the amount of money that was circulating through the economy, whether it be equities, stocks, and in this case, real estate. All asset classes were dealing with all-time highs. You take a look at the stock market, equities, really everything was enthralled in this out-of-world, out-of-body experience of all-time highs in terms of bull runs. Now, obviously, if the first 4 months account for 46% of the sales, right? The rest of the year up to middle of December have thus far accounted for 54% of the sales, but 54% of total real estate sales in the GTA and Toronto real estate market across 8 months, as opposed to 46% of sales across 4 months. So now that we see how crazy things were in 2022, where can we expect things to land in 2023? Well, I made a more in-depth video where I went through 3 things we know for a fact will happen in 2023. You can find that video on my channel. In that video, in depth, I discussed the Toronto vacant home tax, the foreign buyers ban, and the Bank of Canada's interest rate policy. So go check that video out. But shortly put here, on a more macro scale, I believe the 2023 Toronto real estate market, GTA real estate market, will be a sideways market for the most part. It's impossible to say how many more rate hikes are coming and by how many basis points, but the Bank of Canada has made it somewhat clear if it's a choice between recession and inflation, they're really going to push towards the recession. Although the rhetoric is at 100, most likely what they'll do will be at an 80, right? I don't believe they're going to be as aggressive as they're stating, yet nonetheless, I do believe they will raise rates. Now, purely based upon conjecture, because no one really knows what the Bank of Canada will do. We can all have predictions, but anyone who tells you for a fact that they know the Bank of Canada will do such and such, you should probably ignore them. Yet nonetheless, purely based on conjecture, I believe the Bank of Canada will most likely raise interest rates, will most likely continue to raise interest rates. And this is all really essentially contingent upon what the inflation figures will be, right? If inflation figures come in at healthier and healthier directions, certainly we might not see many rate hikes whatsoever, but nonetheless, these are the things I'm confident to speak about and I'm certain on. Prices will be sideways for Q1 and Q2 of 2023, yet nonetheless, I do believe we are closer to the bottom of the market. I think we're going to see more power of sales happening in Q1 and Q2 of 2023, because you have to understand, as rates go up, there is a delayed effect that we've already seen, but to the full extent of the matter, I believe power of sales have not yet popped up, and I think we're going to see more power of sales popping up more and more in Q1 and Q2. Now, Q3 is where things might get interesting with regards to prices somewhat balancing out. Some people are as optimistic and bullish to say Q3 we're actually going to see rate cuts. I'm not going to endeavor to go that far. I'm more confident to err on the side of saying Q3 we might start to see a stop to the rate hikes. It's much more likely that rate hikes will cease in Q3 as opposed to rate cuts will start in Q3. And part of the sideways continuance in 2023 with regards to prices, I think is going to be, for instance, less sold firms, more sold conditionals, less bidding dates, less bidding wars, more home inspections, more status reviews, more financing conditions, more VTBs, vendor take back mortgages. I think along with power of sales, we're going to see an increase of VTBs as well. And this is once again on top of everything I discussed in the other video, more on the legislative side of things, the foreign buyers ban, the Toronto vacant home tax, and the increase of interest rates. But let's touch on the vacant home tax quickly here as well. I don't think it's going to have much of an impact because it's a self-reporting system, and honestly, it is a non-issue to start with. The amount of properties that are maintained vacant for longer than 6 months are not that much. I know it's sexy to say there's a vacant home tax issue occurring across the Canadian real estate market. It's truly not. And in the same fashion, the temporary foreign buyers ban, I see to be much of the same issue. It is a spineless legislation. It is a toothless approach to a non-issue to start with either. I do not believe foreign buyers make up this significant portion of the Toronto real estate base. That's to differentiate, this is very important, so pay attention here. That's to differentiate from foreign capital. Certainly foreign capital is a key driver of the Toronto and GTA real estate market. But we have to make a distinction between foreign capital and foreign buyer. That is a distinction that a lot of people do not make. That's just my professional opinion. You may very well disagree, and I'm hoping to hear your constructive arguments as to why I'm wrong in the comment section. We'll be happy to go back and forth with you guys, or feel free to DM me or email me with your opinions as well. But this is really just to wrap up how crazy the Toronto real estate market was in 2022 and what is ahead in 2020. Lastly, one other thing on the industry side of things, I think we're going to see a culling, a thinning of the herd for Toronto real estate agents. I think there's going to be a lot of Toronto real estate agents that are going to give up their licenses because it's going to be a very hard market for 80% of Toronto real estate agents, mostly obviously part-timers as well. And I think it is a much needed thinning of the herd because the quality of service has suffered in recent years. Anyways, as always, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate, Remax Realtor Realty Inc. You can find my contact information in the description box. Happy New Year's, stay safe, stay tuned, and as always, I will see you in the new year. Thank you very much.